Hi guys, welcome to MosexyKitchen. How you all doing today? Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So today is just gonna be me, myself, and I have no guests. I'm going to be talking about something dear to my heart, and also I will be making stew and okra. So stew, some people call it red sauce. I've heard people call it gravy. Just let's call it Nigerian gravy. So I have my ingredient on the countertop, which I will be telling you what goes in what. So let's start with what I need for my red stew, or you can call it sauce. So I'm going to be using goat meat and mackerel. I like fish and I also like meat. So goat meat, I already boiled the meat. I did an air fryer for the meat, so the meat and the fish, they're fried. I'm gonna make another video later on. I'll show you how I season and boil my meat and my fish and all that good stuff. So that goes in my red sauce. What I'm gonna be using for this red sauce is also bell pepper, red bell pepper, onions, habanero, and tomato. So that is also, you can use any type of tomato, plum, anyone you can find. So I'm also gonna be using my vegetable oil. Some people will use palm oil. I hardly use that, so I'm going to be using this. So for my okra soup, I'm going to be using okra. Also my mackerel, but this one is not air fried. This is just plain boiled mackerel. I have small chops of goat meat and tripe, which we also call shaki. And I have my shrimp. You most likely will say I like shrimp a lot, because my last more video too, I added shrimp. So those are what I'm making. The seasoning I'm going to be using for everything for today is just Knorr, Maggi. You can use Maggi, any type of seasoning cube, and also this is salt, even though it's in this container. I think this is my second video, so you should be used to me having salt in this container already. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to be doing today is we're going to be blending the pepper. So just gonna blend the pepper and I'll be right back. Let's get this out there. If you're going to be making the red sauce, the stew, you're only going to be using bell pepper, habanero pepper, onions, and tomato. But for your okra, you only need onion, bell pepper, and habanero pepper. You don't need tomato, so do not blend tomato with your okra. So I'm going to blend my pepper for the okra, which is onion, bell pepper broken down, and my habanero pepper. That's what I'm using for this one. So, and also, since I'm a little scared of hurting my hand and messing up my nails, I'm going to also be blending my okra. But you're gonna blend the pepper separate, you're gonna blend the okra separate. So I'm gonna blend my pepper first, then I'm gonna blend my okra later. Just so you know. Lest I forget, for my okra, I'm going to be using palm oil. Remember, I'm using palm oil for my okra. I don't use palm oil to cook my stew. I use palm oil for my okra. I just like the way it tastes. I like the feeling of, you know, back home in my okra. So that's what. So while that is going on, my topic for today, which is my own self, and what I want to talk about is love. Reason why I want to talk about this is not just love with like boyfriend and girlfriend and mommies and daddies. I believe love for general people. So there's this, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine recently, and we were talking about the fact that in some African home, the moment my dad or my mom has a problem with our neighbor, everybody don't greet my neighbor. And the moment daddy and mommy have a problem with our neighbors, the kids don't greet the neighbor. Also in church or Muslim or religious gathering, the moment somebody in church is not talking to somebody, they automatically make sure their kids are enemies with those people. So what kind of love do we practice? Is it only love between? So when dad and mom is fighting in the house, does it mean mom is gonna treat the children and tell them don't talk to your dad, or dad will say don't talk to your mom? So that's kind of how I see things. So it's very known in like an African environment, whereby when you have an issue with somebody, you make your kids also have issue, where you kind of create enemies for your kids even before they grow up, or even before they understand what might be going on. So I always say that let everybody learn each other's mistake. Don't teach anybody whatever the person is doing wrong. Let somebody else learn it, because the way they're treating you doesn't mean they're going to treat your kids like that. The problem they're having with you doesn't mean they're going to have it with your kids. Teach your kids respect. Teach yourself respect. And we can't be together, or we can't be best of friends doesn't mean we can't love each other. And Christ loved the church, as we're supposed to love ourselves in the world. So that's something I've kind of noticed around people, among people around me, sorry, that the moment you have an issue with my friend, I have to have issue with that friend too. The moment someone don't like me, I let you know this person don't like me, so you're not supposed to like the person. It doesn't work like that. There's an adage in my language said, I just forgot that adage, but it just basically tells you that you don't know who is supposed to pull you up. So if I make you hate somebody that is supposed to help your destiny, make you better, so what's the point? So basically, love your neighbor as yourself. We can all not be best friends. We cannot all be BFF, but we can all love one another as much as possible. If there's more love in this world, there will be less hatred, less police brutality, less human killing one another, race being one against the other. Knowing the color of our own skin is different from the color of somebody else's skin, or when you're saying you're better than somebody else. So when there's love, there's understanding among all of us, there will be less of that issue. So keep that in mind. Love is the greatest thing in the world. Okay, let's go back to my cooking. Welcome back. So now I have blended my okra. Here it is. And also this is the pepper for the okra. I also have the pepper I blended for my stew. It's right here. Remember I told you what needs to go in that. So this is my vegetable oil, which I will be putting in the sauce, or the red stew, however you want to call it. Like I told you in my last video, I'm not really good with something about measurement. No, how many cups? No, I just use my initiative. I'm sorry. When my mom taught me how to cook, she didn't tell me put half cup, put two cups. So you just use, just know that this is the good amount. And one of these days when I'm having a show, I will be inviting my mom. She's a caterer. She's a caterer and she's a nurse too. So we'll be having her on our show one of these days. So that is in. So we're going to cover the pot. We're going to let it cook for a few minutes. While that is cooking, I will be preparing for the okra. Let me turn the stove on. And if you see my stove right here, me taking one out, I have little kids in my house. My son is pretty young and he comes around town with my stove knob. So I just took everything out and left only one. So we can even take the one out when there's nothing going on. So I'm going to bleach my palm oil a little, not too much. Not like when you're making designer stew. No, you don't want it to bleach as much as designer stew. You just want it to just bleach a little. So I'm going to pour my palm oil. So give it about a minute for it to like mature. I'm going to show you how it looks in a second, how the pot will look. Okay, so while this is boiling, I already put the oil and the oil is already warm, so I'm just going to my pepper into the oil, which is the red oil. So now that I poured my pepper into the hot oil, I'm going to give it a few minutes to cook. Just gonna cover it and give it a few minutes to cook. Remember, in okra stew, some people call something, they put something called locust beans. Because I do have guests over every time, and some people don't eat it and some people do, so I leave it out. But if I know it's something that just my house is gonna eat, they always eat locust beans, so I put it in my okra, I put it in my ogbono, I put it in my eforio, efuelegusi, that's spinach stew, or color green, anyone you use. So yes, so we're gonna give it a few minutes for it to boil. Just give it a few minutes for both of them to cook. So my stew is already boiling, as you can see, and also the stew for the okra is good to go. So now I am going to season it, do a little seasoning, but when I'm doing it, I don't put too much, I put a little. So when I put my okra in it and I taste it, I can put more seasoning. Alright, so I'm going to put my shrimp. I put shrimp in my okra. You can call it seafood okra, I guess. So I'm putting shrimp so it can like boil. You can cook it. This is raw shrimp. So I'm gonna give the shrimp a few minutes. Just a few minutes. About 2 minutes. Put a little water. Just get them. Just put in just water. Just put on a little water in there. I already had it salt and seasoning to it. Maggi, Knorr, whatever you want to use. I already added that, so I'm just gonna give you a few minutes for the shrimp to cook, because everything else I'm adding, like the beef, the tripe, and the mackerel is already cooked, so that will not take too long. So my red stew is ready. That's hot. My red stew is ready. I also want to put seasoning. I'm gonna add salt. And I'm going to add my Maggi seasoning cube. However you want to use it. Okay. Stir it together. This is really thick. Also add a little bit more water. I'm just gonna add more water. Just a little. It's gonna be ready in a few. So now we're ready to go to put our meat and fish in it. Like I said, I have both mackerel, and I have goat meat. I air fried it. I have an air fryer. It's very good. It's awesome. So I'm just gonna add my meat and everything into. And after you add the meat and the fish, it doesn't take a long time. It's just a few minutes for it to steam together, and it's ready. It's good to go. And sometimes people are very worried about oh, it's fish. Isn't it going to scatter or something like that? Because it's fried air fryer, and I made it a little bit dry, so it's not going to do any of that. A few minutes. Just put this. Now that the fish and the meat is in the pot, just gonna add a little bit more water because it's really, really thick. I don't want it to be too thick. Yes. I'm giving it a few minutes for it to cook together, steam together. just for a few minutes. Okay, back to the okra soup. Back to the okra soup. So it's already cooking. Here it is. The shrimp is all cooked and ready. So now I'm going to, and remember I already put a little bit of seasoning in it. Now I'm going to put my okra in it. Reason why I'm putting my okra before putting my meat and my mackerel fish is because they're all cooked, ready to go. I just want the okra to cook a little before I pour it and mix everything together. See how this is coming up? Alright. Already ready. So now I'm going to put my other things, which is I have the tripe and the goat meat that I put together. And I also have my mackerel fish. We're just gonna give it a few minutes to cook. So now that everything is all ready, you can eat the sauce with white rice. Sometimes my kids eat the sauce with bread. What else? And when I want to have solid meal, which is I can't be eating inyo, fufu, that's pounded yam, fufu that I believe is plantain flour. We have the gari, cassava flake. You can eat it with anything you want. Let me tell you the weird food I eat. I eat okra and rice. I don't know how other people, if you don't eat it, you're missing out, but it tastes really good. I eat okra and rice. So you can eat it with that and wheat, farina, anything you want to eat with. It's all good. So I'm going to show. Thank you so much for watching and catch you next time. Bye.